Hey guys, it's quote unquote your boy, Ballface8020, back again with another great response video. First thing, I think it's kind of obvious that I've been doing a lot more videos lately. This is not something I intend to keep up. There's no particular reason other than that I've found a lot of easy content to do. Um, so, when this slows down, don't assume that it means that either something is wrong with me or I'm not going to be making content anymore. Ideally, I would like to keep this channel up for the rest of my life. It's probably not going to go that way, and then I know I'm going to get to a point where I'm doing videos, at most every few months, simply not due to lack of motivation necessarily, although that could happen, but just because, again, as a channel that focuses mostly on the black pill, how much stuff can you say? I mean, I guess I'll always have stuff to say about politics, but nobody watches my political videos, so yeah. All right. So anyway, though, but this one, I actually hadn't intended to make another video so soon, and I don't mean to keep picking on poor Joe Ducard, but this was just too good. Here's our dating coach who's going to teach you how not to be an incel, Joe Ducard. This, who he's with, I believe, is his best friend, who is also a coach of some sort. He'll say his name in the video. I forget. But it's the subject of this video is looks don't matter to women. ... This does. Obviously, clickbaity. It's interesting, and those of you who've seen, my other videos about him, or maybe you've even watched some of his videos yourself, you see that this guy, despite being a coach who started his coaching in like 2010, you'd think he would be very red-pilled, and he's really not. He seems closer to the blue pill on the spectrum than the red pill, which is good. I mean, the blue pill's bad, but anything's better than the red pill. But he's going to give you, the looks don't matter thing, but almost more from a blue pill perspective. So let's see what he and his friend have to say, and I will respond.
So we got the man, Magic Mac, back. I want to talk to you about how looks actually matter a lot less than you think. Okay, one of the biggest questions and one of the biggest hang-ups that I get from guys is that, okay, how much do looks matter? I'm not the best looking guy in the world and whatever. And you know what? If I only taught good looking guys, I'd be out of business really quick, okay? Because there's just not that many super good looking guys, right? And I get a lot of average looking guys, or less than average guys that I wind up coaching. And they always wonder how much do looks matter. So I want to talk to you that they're actually a lot less of a percentage than you think. There's a cool concept that I came up with, and I want to share in this video, and I'll get Mike's input on this as well too. Looks are a fraction of the package that you present. Think about it. If you're trying to attract women into your life, or friends, or whatever, you want to be an awesome, attractive person, your entire package is what matters, not just your looks. Now, your looks do matter. We always do say that, okay? Control everything you can control. Get your fashion right. Get your fitness right. Get a cool haircut. See what works better. I get better.
Yeah, this, I guess, was probably my first problem. This is definitely some blue pill advice to the point where it's actually a meme. Get a haircut, bro. Your fitness, that is going to make. Let's see, I'm just estimating here, but I would say in terms of attraction, I would estimate that your fitness level, talking about your body fat percentage and like muscularity, that would make around, give or take, 0% difference to women. They care about 0% in my experience. It's not something that for for instance, for a guy looking at a girl, a woman, if she's obviously going to be more attractive to us if she's not carrying too much fat. Women don't really care if you're carrying too much fat. I mean, I guess it could get to a point where you're like 600 pounds or something. Although even then, if you had a good frame or skeleton underneath, she'd probably still be all about it. It's just not something women are interested in. They would be interested in things like bone size, skull size, muscle belly length, which women they don't. I mean, obviously they're not going to spurg about it, but they're going to subconsciously detect it. Um, Skull shape, uh, to a much lesser degree than people think. Face quality. But that does matter. Hair quality, stuff like that. And now he's about to say right now, I always get much better responses when my hair is long. Okay, fair enough. But the thing is, this guy has very good hair. I mean, he's got his hair quality is probably about as good as mine was when I was like. By the way, this isn't a joke, but when I was like 10, that's where his hair quality is. So yeah, I mean, he does look. I mean, when you've got great hair, great like straight thick hair, yeah, if growing it out and showing that attribute off, you probably are going to get better responses. But that's kind of, I mean, like if like let's just use me as an example. If I grew my hair out, that wouldn't make me more attractive. It would almost certainly make me even less attractive. So this whole, and then the guy on the right is a good looking guy, but and he's got great hair too. But I think that his haircut is actually making him less attractive because it's I mean, he's rocking the fuckboy haircut, and it's like, I mean, unless you're Zeke Malik or however you say his name, that doesn't really work. Let's continue.
Better reactions when I have long hair, so I grew my hair long again, right? Do whatever works, right? Do what you like, do what you feel cool. So you have to take care of that part, there's no doubt. But looks are a very small percentage. Now, I thought of something cool the other day. I was like, okay, if looks are all that matter, I've been to fitness expos and seen like the best looking guys in the world that are super ripped, shredded, perfect hair, the whole thing, tattoos. And a lot of these guys, they just stand around, flexed, all buffed out like this. The shittiest personalities in the world, and a lot of them are super, super, super insecure. They have no confidence at all. So yeah.
And I bet you that those guys all absolutely kill it with women. Almost certainly much better than you yourself, Joe. Now, they may not be happy, and I'm not saying you should be that superficial. And the thing he said about them being like insecure, yeah, I think that's probably true. I'm certainly not here to tell you guys to envy, people with Chad looks. A lot of times, those looks can end up being more of a curse than a blessing. But it doesn't mean that, we deny the obvious fact that it's what women are attracted to. So like those super chiseled facial features, the tall and good thing. Now the being jacked thing, see, that's why it gets so easy to get thrown off. They'll say like, oh, well, this guy's got great muscles and women aren't into him. It's like, yeah, because women don't give a shit. They care that your body has the ability to develop big muscles, but without steroids. They want that big frame. But the actual muscles aren't going to make you any more attractive to women, and there's a pretty good chance it's going to make you less attractive. Now, what you may see is a guy who already has a big frame and good face and good height. If he then proceeds to make himself muscularly well developed, women will then say, "Oh wow, your muscles! I love your muscles," and they'll mean it, but they only like the muscles because they're attached to somebody who was already a Chad otherwise. Think of who's that douchebag from the Guardians with the Galaxy? Like, do women like his new muscular physique and not the fat physique he had on Parks and Rec or whatever Community, whatever stupid ass show he was on? I mean, he was already a Chad when he was a fat slob on that show, and do women like his new, like, more stereotypical Hollywood Chad ripped look? Well, I mean, I think it's probably a mix. I think some probably do, some don't. But even the ones who like it, it's they were already they would already been attracted to him in the first place. It's just more like, ooh, bonus. I mean, I'm kind of thinking, what it would kind of be like? Like, imagine if Emily Ratajkowski, like, normally dressed, like, really dumpy and stuff, we would still all think that she was super hot. And then if we saw her with, then like in the real nice clothes and makeup, the way that we see her, know her now, we'd be like, oh wow, that looks great, and but it wouldn't actually make her any hotter. It would just be something that, oh, that kind of looks great on her and it's cool, or like how we maybe like certain hairstyles or shit like that. That's kind of what it is for women and the muscles thing. So I kind of lost train of thought of what I was responding to, but it's not, the whole muscle thing is something that we really just kind of have to let go. I know that if you're watching my videos, you probably already have, but I think it's unfortunate that people are still promoting it as something that's going to be attractive to women.
They may be 10 out of 10 on the looks, but what about the other things that you bring to the table, right? What about your personality? What about your energy? What about your care about the other person that you're talking with? If you have none of those,
Biggest chads I've ever met have not cared um, about women. I mean, in terms of what they were like as people. I've known chads who were nice guys, and they maybe, I, it's hard to really describe. They were nice, caring people, and I wouldn't say that they were deliberately cruel and contemptuous of women, but the women who then proceeded to like express interest and throw themselves at them, the chads I knew had no respect for them. They would, even if they were nice guys, they considered them, I mean, basically just like cum dumpsters. And like, what can you do for me? And I don't even think they knew they were doing it. It was just something that they were so used to these women throwing themselves at them that they reacted to these women kind of like how a lot of girls react to their beta orbiters. They just like, eventually you kind of stop seeing them as people. Now, for all I know, I haven't kept in touch with these guys. Knowing what I did about them, though, I would expect that most, if not all, of these guys are currently married with kids and who with women who they do love. Not positive that they're necessarily faithful, but there's women who they do love and respect. But the point is, when it came to attracting women in their peak of looks, them caring about them as people meant absolutely nothing. As for those guys' energy and stuff that this guy was talking about, well, I wouldn't really say any of them that I knew had boring personalities per se, and they weren't on the spectrum. They weren't neuroatypical or anything like that. But their personalities, they were like, I mean, I was hanging out with them, so I guess they were at least somewhat interesting. I wouldn't really say there was anything special about their personalities, but they were, I guess good enough. But it would be crazy to say that what was attracting women to them was their personalities. I'm not even sure the girls who, like even the girls, who I was in high school, who were when I heard them talking about these chads, they were saying like, "Oh yeah, he's so hot." They weren't talking about his personality, and I think we all understood when they said he was so hot, they meant his looks. They didn't mean his personality. So, yeah.
those, then the looks don't matter. The issue that these guys have is they compare their looks with the best of the best, and they think
Bullshit. Do you think I'm insecure because I compare my looks with the best of the best? First of all, okay, no. Like, we've been through here, I actually feel okay about my face. But do you think I would be feeling that way if I was comparing it to Henry Cavill and shit like that? No, I mean, of course not. The the so this idea that there may be guys who are insecure about that, but I never would see like a Henry Cavill and then be insecure about my face. But also I don't, like I said before, women don't really care that much about face. But let's think about other things though, but particularly the things that really bother me, which are my height and my frame size. I'm not insecure about being 5'9" with 6.75-inch wrist because that's not as good as like some NFL offensive lineman. Okay, that that doesn't bother me. If anything, I'd be more bemused if I saw a guy like that. I wouldn't even feel insecure because I would feel like we were practically a different species. No, I'm insecure because it's so much less than the average, white American guy, which would be, 5'10" and a half, a full inch and a half taller, and, wrists, 7 inches, like a quarter of an inch bigger. Now, that may not sound huge, but it really is. And, I understand that there's probably guys listening to this video who have worse measurements than that. And I'm not saying any of this to make you say, like, well, I feel bad about this, so you should feel insecure about this. That's not really the point. The point is that, like it's more that the point is that, it's bad. And, it's, I'm not, and then, and the thing is, that's the thing, I'm not insecure at all about the guys who at the top of the frame skull height heat. That they don't bother me. I'm insecure about getting mogged by the average man. And if you're a guy who's insecure about his looks and stuff, again, you're not insecure about your face compared to Henry Cavill. You're insecure about your face compared to, I don't know, name some average looking guy. I don't even know. But let's be honest here. You're insecure about your face compared to Joe Ducard. So that's just a really just ignorant thing to say, and he shouldn't have said that, because that's just stupid.
That this best looking guy in the world has all this other stuff, but that's not how you're rated as a human. That's not how you come off to other people. You actually,
it's how women rate you. It's not necessarily, again, I think what they're necessarily looking for in a long-term relationship, but in terms of attracting women. And remember, she's the one who chooses. The woman is the one who chooses. And if for a long-term partner, personality is going to be important in the long term, especially as they get to the age where they want to settle down. Like in that 16 to like 20 age, then you probably are like closer to the 100% looks thing. If she wants to settle down, she's going to care more and more about personality. But the thing that's going to attract her initially is always going to be the looks. Just like the thing as a guy that would always attract you initially is the looks. The difference is that you're not the one who selects, she is. So there's an imbalance here that he's not understanding.
Come off to other people, and they assess you based on your complete package, okay? And part of your package that you control.
Yeah, well, again, I mean, now you switch to like people in general. I'm sorry, but this isn't completely accurate. And I can say this as a physically smaller guy. Let's say I had, let's just like, I'm a person who has historically not gotten a ton of respect from my peers. Always have been kind of the goofy type guy. The reason that I was in so many fights as a kid was because I didn't merit respect, and the only way for me to go get it was to get in fights. Now that was stupid of me, but that's what happened. So the thing is, was some of the lack of respect my kind of goofy personality and relatively low social status compared to the people who were giving me a hard time? Yeah, I mean, I think that was a very big part. But let's say I had been much bigger, and with the exact same personality, would I have been treated the same way? No. I would have been, especially at the stage after high school, where I've noticed, the amount of respect you get is probably, even because in high school your respect has probably more to do with your status. Actually, I don't know what it's like now, but at least when I was a kid. But whereas in the real world, your physical dimensions are going to be a big part of the respect you get. He says, like, you're going to be judged as the total package. I mean, sort of, to a point. And this isn't like, I'm not being a total black pillar here thing, especially if you're a talented, smart person with a very strong personality, you will go get respect. Yeah, you will be able to go and earn respect. That's true. That's true. Oops, I was doing the pop thing again. Sorry. That's absolutely correct. But not to the same extent as you would get if you were a bigger guy. And that's all. And whereas if you are a bigger guy, unless you have the most passive personality, uh, you are going to get a lot of respect just based on that. So it's not even just a thing about women. It's just people is, your looks are always going to be, or physical stuff is always going to be a big part of what you're judged by.
Is your posture? Is your tonality?
No, hate that one. Hate the one about the posture. Posture is something that I'm kind of conscious of because I've historically had bad posture. And I noticed when I was pretty young that standing up straighter kind of made me feel more confident because I felt a little bit taller. But this actually goes. I might even make another video about it. I think posture is one of those things that can paradoxically make you actually less confident, because I've noticed this mostly when I'm going to the supermarket. That's like Mog City. Like, I feel like going to the supermarket, I feel like the average height of men in this country is about 6'1", and the average wrist size is about 7.25 inches. I mean, I don't know if I just noticed the big guys, but like I see guys my height or shorter, but I never see a guy with a frame even as bad as mine, let alone worse. And like ever. Like they're all like substantially better than me in the frame department. So like when I'm like standing straight and stuff like that, and I'm like more conscious of how I look, just like, oh, stand up straight, getting every inch of height out and stuff, I feel much more insecure about it than when I just kind of like lean into like, oh, I'm too tired, fuck all this shit, and just let myself slouch. And I just see the bigger guys and I'm just like, whatever. So I think that this can actually be very counterproductive. Now, I'm not telling you not to stand up straight, but I would actually say not to force yourself to stand up straight. If your posture is the result of like improper alignment, particularly in your jaw, and then you can look at the Mike Muse stuff about this. Because this is something that I noticed even before I knew who Mike Muse was. Then I don't think it's really a good idea for you to try to force that good posture. I would say maybe you get the underlying issue that's causing the poor posture corrected and let the chips fall where they may. For me, it's a mixture of improper alignment in my jaw, improper alignment in my back, and just being so damn tired all the time. That's, so like for me to like actually go and try to like stand up straight, that's actually going to make things worse. I think it's going to make things worse for a lot of guys.
Is your enthusiasm, right? If me and Mike were sitting here on the video, I love to do this, right? We're sitting on the video and we're talking to you. Here's some advice that you guys should take you guys be clicking off this thing in 2 seconds. All right. So the charisma and what you bring to the table is completely independent of how you look. Okay. You have to bring up all the other areas of yourself. Okay. Reading books, traveling, having experiences. What about love for yourself, for others?
Can you imagine that you're going to, go ahead and read books and travel, but you're going to read books and travel in the hopes that it's going to make you like a more interesting? That's not how this shit works. Okay? Charisma, personality, you have it or you don't. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to drop such a big black pill. And it really is, because to me, this is more depressing than anything else. Anything else about the whole the whole I think we're all judged by looks and stuff. But for me that kind of is what it is. I mean, yeah, it's not great, but I don't, and I don't think it's worth getting depressed about. But I can understand, it's unpleasant. It's unpleasant, at least in some ways, at least when you first hear it. But like, to me, what I think is even worse is, even if the red pill and blue pill were true, it wouldn't matter, because because I've seen it and I've tried to do it. Do you guys think I would have the personality I have if I could have chosen it? Fuck no. I would be much different. And I've tried to change and I can't. And and there's I know there's so many other people out there who are doing the same thing. It is, you can do things actually to improve your looks. You can get legs lengthening surgery. You can get like that, Korean level plastic surgery on your face, hair transplants. You can lift and use growth hormones to the point where it makes your skull bigger. And, you develop musculature so you look like you have a bigger frame. You can do stuff on that front. I mean, you shouldn't, but you could do that kind of stuff. There's nothing you can do about your personality. You really are just stuck with the one you have. And if now you can maybe get mental illness treated, like if your problem is that you're suffering from like social anxiety or depression, that can be treated or worked through. Same thing with you can at least learn to cope with autism. But you can't really change your personality. You can't become more interesting. You can't become more charismatic. You just can't. You just can't. I don't even know if you can become more dominant. The well, I would think that you probably couldn't. And any attempt to become more confident or more interesting or more funny is going to backfire spectacularly. If because it will always be unnatural. It will make you more insecure. It will come off as try-hard, pathetic, and even more boring or more uncool, or more insecure, or the exact opposite of what you're trying to do. Let's continue.
Other people, okay? One thing I've been talking to a buddy of mine, and I thought it was really cool. We were bringing up the kind of guy who gets the girls, right? Who always gets the most attractive.
Well, he was young, tall, with a big frame, and is neurotypical. That's it. That's the kind of guy who will always get the best looking girls. That I don't know what else to say. Like, I mean, like that's who does it. So there's just like, I mean, like, are we seriously still denying this? I mean, I think this video was made last year, but it's okay. It's 2019. I mean, are we seriously still denying this? This is insulting.
Girls, the best girls. Who's that guy? He's not always the richest. He's not always the best looking. He's not always.
Okay, yeah, because neither of those things women really care about. Richest women don't care how much money you have, and best looking women don't give a shit. So let's talk about the other stuff then.
The tallest either, but
well, tall can become like too much of a good thing if it's not mixed with anything else. Like, I mean, I've heard other people say like, oh, well, I know this guy who's 6'7" and he's really scrawny and has a weird personality and he doesn't get with women. It's like, well, okay, first of all, just being 6'7", and I don't care about like your experience with this guy. Just being 6'7" alone means he is going to have a lot of women interested in him. But you can't just be tall. Okay, you need something going for you in the frame department, and you need something in proportionality. Especially like if you're going to be over 7 feet, but your proportions are going to be fucked up and your frame sucks, then again you're always going to have some women who are into it just because of the height, but it's not going to be attractive to the overwhelming majority of women. Not going to be physically attractive. I'm not saying it's over for you if there's some really tall, skinny, disproportionate guys listening here, but that's going to be the main thing that guys are looking for. There's not a lot of 5'8" slayers, and they do exist though, but they all have good frames and great faces and great hair. Oh, also status, which is black pillars like to play this down, but status matters a lot. In fact, status is so important that it may be more important than height. That's how big a deal status is.
He's always the guy who owns himself.
He owns himself because he's Chad. I mean, like, here's the thing again. We've all seen this, and I'm not trying to lecture you guys because I know you guys know this is true. Yes, do the Chad types all own themselves? Yeah, this is true. I've seen that, and they do all own themselves. Joe is right about this. But do you know who else really owns themselves, or owns himself? Me. Me. Like, I am like the most self-aware person you're ever going to meet, because I spend so much time thinking about myself. It's one of the few benefits of being so self-absorbed. The I like own everything about myself completely. Does or, so does that mean women should be throwing themselves at me because that's what they want, right? A guy who owns himself, but it hasn't seemed to make women any more attracted to me. The I'm they don't seem, and this isn't like, I'm not ranting or complaining here. I'm really only using myself as an example. Um, I'm not saying that, you know women have any kind of I've heard some incels say that they think that women like actually have distaste for them like personally and stuff like that. I don't think it's anything like that. I've never noticed anything like that. I don't think it's true for them either. I think it's something that's in their heads. But the but I think that women just don't see me that way, which is fine because they don't see me that way because, well, I'm not very tall and my frame's not very big, and I'm getting older. The I mean, and it's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But what I'm saying, I'm merely using myself as an example to illustrate the fact that I own myself, and own myself, by the way, way more than I did when I was in my 20s, and actually did get some attention from women, by the way. I'm I own myself and am comfortable in my own skin way more now than when I was in my mid and early 20s, and actually did get some attention from women. Shouldn't it be the other way around if owning yourself is a big deal? And on that same thing, do you know, like, you will never find somebody who owns themselves more than either a small child or an old person. The elderly are like the masters of owning themselves. They give zero fucks. They are so comfortable in their own skin. So are those elderly guys with canes having women throwing themselves at them? No, not even not even women their own age. So come on here, come on now.
Who he is.
Yeah.
He's like, this is who I am.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go win the 7-foot contest to be the tallest guy. I'm not going to be a runway model. I may not be a Bill Gates billionaire, right? I may not be Mr. Olympia, right? I may not have, be some super game pickup artist guy or whatever. But wherever he's at, he's comfortable with who he is, and then he can show that same acceptance of the other person that he's in the interaction with, okay? And that is the biggest part of this, all right? When you can just see that you have a package to bring, okay? How many guys, how many students, right? I have students who I've definitely trained before who have tons of money, millionaires, right?
Yeah.
But they're super shy, right? And they don't have the skills, right? So
Yeah. This is where I think coaching can really be beneficial. Um, Shyness and lack of social skills. Those are real things that training, coaching can help. That this is true. So it's probably the only area where self improvement in terms of dating is possible. Other than for guys like Joe really can grow their hair out, or lose weight and show off their good bone structure. That's not going to apply to most guys, but there are a lot of guys whose shyness and lack of social skills really does hold them back. Oops, sorry, I did the computer thing again. Shyness and lack of social skills really hold them back. I think it's a huge problem, and I just relate to it from my own experience with sales and seeing how and I'm not even saying I'm good at sales. I'm not, but at least I'm like functional at it. Whereas naturally I was horrible at it, and it is something that you can improve at just by doing it. And with coaching, I could probably have improved more, or could improve more in the future. And I think this does apply to dating too, and just in interactions with people in general. So, I'm not trying to say that all forms of self improvement are necessarily not going to be, potentially productive.
they may have a lot of money, but they don't have the other areas. You want to bring up all the areas that you can, and even looks for a man. We have so much that we can control.
No, we don't. No, we don't. The because I've explained this earlier in the video. When women are very good at sensing the underlying bone structure, which is the only thing that they're attracted to. Again, if you've got a good hair quality, you can grow it out. That's pretty much it. That's the only thing you can do that's going to make any difference. You can grow it out and maybe style it a little bit more. Again, if you've got a really good bones underneath and you're like grossly overweight, then losing the weight can get in shape, but adding muscle is not going to help you at all. For the most part, losing weight is not going to help you at all. And I'm not telling you not to do these things. But that, and grooming, it's not going to help you at all. Fashion is really not going to help you at all. So, no, this is nonsense. Sorry if I'm being repetitive, but I'm responding to a guy who's being repetitive.
That, like, besides having a deformity or something.
That is a cool shirt, though. Anyway, what he said about the deformity, okay, but well, first of all, there are guys who do kind of have that. I mean, even I have a few what are essentially minor deformities, but also the deformity may actually not be as big of a deal because deformity is pretty easy to correct with surgery most of the time. I know there's exceptions, but what about if you're just ugly? And I may make another video about this. Do not confuse ugliness with just deformities or improper facial development. Because if you look 100 years ago, everybody had very well developed faces whether it be due to nutrition or more chewing back then or better posture. Who knows? We can debate this all day long. But everybody back then, 100 years ago, before 100 years ago, had good facial development. Guess what? There were still ugly people then. I mean, there was ugly people even then. So, just because you don't have any deformities and your face is well developed doesn't mean you're not ugly. And that is something that even then, I guess you could get surgery to fix. But, if that's possible for you. But, yeah, it's just also women don't really care. They mainly just care about how tall you are. But yeah, we'll go on.
We can control so much about it, getting in shape, even putting a couple inches in the shoes if you want to be taller, wearing cool clothes.
Wow, I thought women didn't care about height.
And getting a cool haircut. Control all that. Bringing up your skills through all the other ways, like we said, through your conversation skills, through your personality. I know I'm talking a lot here. I want you to chime in on this.
No, it's all good.
The point I'm trying to make is it's a complete package that you're measured on. It's not just your looks. So if you're just focused on that, it's usually an excuse that your brain comes up with so that it has to avoid doing
bullshit. And this is I've been in the black pill incel community for almost a year now. There's exceptions, but pretty much every guy who I've spoken with has made a pretty extensive effort to looks max or whatever, to do these things. They're not making excuses. They come to this after making a lot of effort. And the exception is, when I do see exceptions, because they do exist, it tends to be more a result of them being neuroatypical. There is, I've said it before, I'll say it again, a lot of mental illness in the incel community. But not everybody who's in the incel community is mentally ill. I don't even necessarily know that I would say most are. I think maybe I don't know. It might be maybe a little like sort of insecure to an almost delusional extent, but I wouldn't say that they're all necessarily mentally ill. I've talked to some who are definitely not suffering from any kind of mental illness. But yeah, these guys have all tried. They've all tried to do these types of things, and it hasn't done anything. And you're doing a real disservice to tell people that this is something that you don't want to put in the work. And I always see this. Before I got banned from Purple Pill Debate, I'm not going to tell you guys the story, but it was so worth it getting banned from there. It was before I got banned from there, it was a guy who was saying some shit like, a red pill guy who was saying, like, I think guys who are incels or black pillars or whatever are just using the black pill as an excuse not to lift weights. And he wasn't even talking about this other shit. He was talking about, like, just lifting, like just lift, bro. That's seriously what he was saying. If you lift, you'll get girls. That's what women want. Because if you lift weights, and which anybody who's been to a gym knows how ridiculous that statement would be. And that people just say that there is no hope so they don't have to lift. No, Matt, dude, if people thought lifting would work and then didn't want to do it, that's just what they would say. They would just be like, yeah, lifting will get me girls, but fuck it, I'm not doing it. But that's not what people do. They've usually tried it, or maybe they even still do it and they realize it doesn't make any difference.
Doing all those other things that you're putting off.
Yeah, and also put yourself in a position where, for example, you're chatting with an attractive woman, but then, like she's hot, like fit and well dressed, but then you talk to her, she has no personality. She's not
yeah.
funny. You don't have anything in common, right? So now you're going to be like, all right, well, she was hot or attractive and, visually, but then you have a conversation. And really, in the
Yeah. Again, I don't talk about it too much. I'm religious. I believe in God. I don't believe as a man you should be sleeping with any woman you're not married to. So I've said it before. Stand by all that. If she was hot and I had nothing in common with her, and I thought she was really boring and annoying and stupid, I would still want to sleep with her. Okay, that's not good of me. That's wrong. I shouldn't do that. But I would still be attracted and have that impulse. It would make so. I'm not sure what this guy is trying to say here. Is he seriously saying that, like, we can say, what's her name? We'll use Emily Ratajkowski again, who I'm sure is a total bitch. Let's say you met her and she sucked as much as you think that she probably does. But then she was like, hey, yo, I'm DTF for you. And you're probably, unless you've got much more moral fortitude than I do, you're going to say yes. So I know, what point exactly is this guy trying to make here? And meanwhile, we could say the reverse. Let's say that there's a girl who you connect with and she's like super cool and you love her and she's super interesting, but she's physically disgusting. She's physically disgusting to you, at least. I mean, honestly, I think probably most guys probably would still be DTF, but they are not going to be like, I mean, I wouldn't, but they're not going to be like, eager for it, for the most part. So the point he's making here, I don't even know what point he's making here.
In the grand scheme of things, right? Like, whatever kind of relationship you're looking for, whether it's a friendship or something more long-term, or you're just looking to have fun, like, you're going to have a conversation with that person. You can't just base your entire relationship on looks, right? So if you're not doing that with, a girl that you're attracted to or a guy that you want to be friends with, what makes you think that other people are going to judge you externally as well? And also, kind of like what I told you before, this was back in the day when I was single. I remember chatting with someone, I think, like, on a dating app, and the first question she asked me was, "What's your height?" And I told her, I'm like, "Wow, if that's the first thing you're gonna ask, if you're gonna measure the entirety of myself as a person based on my height, and you're not even gonna ask me about my passions, like my dreams, my ambitions, like my hobbies, my interests. If you're gonna judge me just based on something that I can't control, then I don't want you in my life."
Can we cope any harder? I mean, I feel like the world is in danger of imploding on itself because due to the black hole that was created by the levels of cope that was in what I just heard. That was I am not happy. I am not happy with what I just heard. She asked what your height was because that's the most important thing that's what women are most attracted to, and it's a dating app, and she's filtering through a lot of guys, okay? I mean, we're probably hundreds, and she doesn't have, like, so she wants to see, like, she's measuring these guys up, like, where are you in the height department, since height is a huge thing for women. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean she's demanding that you be 6'3", but the reason she's asking is because she wants to know, does this guy meet my minimum height cutoff? Because she's dating and she's got a lot of options. She needs some way to filter stuff down, and height is important, and pretty much every woman is going to have a minimum height, at least especially if she can't see you in person and you don't have time to build some kind of connection. So, I mean, like, and as for your interest in stuff, yeah, your interest in dreams, those things may be relevant to a point after she gets to know you and decides that she might want to, like, have some kind of relationship with you. But, like, as for, like, deciding whether she even wants to invest in the conversation, yeah, of course she's going to want to know your height. Just, I mean, like, would you object to putting your face on the profile because like, whoa, you want to see what I look like? What about my interest and hobbies? And it's like, well, yeah, I mean, maybe we can talk about that, but let's see what you look like first to see if you're somebody who I even have any interest physically in pursuing something romantic with. And like I said, and height is much more important to women than face. So, I mean, it's like, I mean, look, it's not a question I would ever answer. And I'm not even saying that just because I'm ashamed of my height. I'm saying it because I would feel, it would just kind of feel dirty to me. It would feel too much like, I mean, like I get that women are the ones who are picking, but I don't like the feeling of being like graded like a piece of meat. The, but, having said that, that's when you get onto a dating app, that's what you've signed on for. If you're not comfortable with it, don't do the dating apps. And honestly, you know what surprised me the most about this story, beyond the levels of cope, is that that's the only time he's ever been asked that. Because from my understanding of guys who've been on dating apps, in fact, I actually want to try. Well, I don't know. I was about to say I actually want to try dating apps just to see the responses I get, so I could come back with you guys here. But I probably just wouldn't get any matches. So they wouldn't maybe I could do something with like do some like maybe not Chad fishing, but like Chad light fishing, and then when they ask my height, say 5'7", and see what the reaction is. I don't know. You guys, if you guys think that's interesting, I mean, I'm sure. I hope none of you are still listening by this point because I've been going on for so long. But if that is something you guys think might be interesting, let me know in the comments, and then maybe you guys can tell me how to use Tinder or something. I don't know if it's hard. Also, do you have to pay money? Because if you do, I'm definitely not doing it. So, yeah, all right. Well, I think we covered a lot of good coping ground here, a lot of good blue pill bullshit. But, like, it wasn't really, like I said, it wasn't really red pilled stuff here. It was really mostly blue pilled, which I think is kind of interesting. I don't know if maybe the red pill is dying, or maybe this guy has just never been into it. I mean, I'm kind of thinking that, I was about to say I was thinking that maybe he's not interested in the internet, but he was saying that I think that when he was figuring it out for himself, he was doing it via like reading red pill. I'm assuming what was red pill. The PUA stuff is very red pill. So I don't know. I mean, it's weird. It seems that, but he himself seemed kind of blue pill, which again is still way better than the red pill. So some progress. Okay, guys, that's all for now. Sorry about the length. See you in the next.